After having viewed the Saga of Mr. Us, my retired lawyer friend asked me to explain negative G, a curious request as I had not thought the concept of negative G would be unfamiliar to a general audience. That's why your comments are so helpful to this site. As I sit in the desk chair, I am experiencing the force of gravity, 1G. If I weighed 180 pounds, the G-force would be just that, 180 pounds. If I were to have my wife duct tape me to a lawn chair and then suspend me upside down from a tree branch, as she offered to do, the attendant force I would feel is negative 1G. Not a comfortable condition. So I asked my neighbor Hortense if he would allow me to suspend him upside down in a lawn chair from a rotary clothesline and spin it such that we could generate two negative Gs. He declined. He did, however, offer to spin me inverted on the clothesline, but I declined since I had to operate the camera. Negative G is a foreign and uncomfortable condition in flight, but in a losing dogfight it has tactical applications. Simply put, if an aggressor aircraft is pursuing you and maneuvers into gun range at your 6 o'clock, you are in a hurt locker, but not out of options. Under positive 2 to 5 Gs, say, it can be challenging for the aggressor to place bullets on a target, you and your aircraft. If you jink, switch from a positive G pull to a negative G push, thus spoiling the aggressor's firing solution, you might survive. Meanwhile, you are hoping to drag the aggressor into lower altitude and scraping him off on the landscape before he riddles you with fiery hot bullets. Sounds like fun, doesn't it? Transverse G. G-force is best simplified among aviators by eyeballs. Yes, I said eyeballs. Positive G is eyeballs down. A heavy, sustained positive G load, say 5 Gs, can cause a lack of oxygenated blood to the brain and unconsciousness until the G load is released. A fighter pilot typically can maintain consciousness under sustained 6 Gs by exerting abdominal and lower limb muscle flexing to constrict arteries and veins, which maintains blood supply to the brain. Negative G is eyeballs up, very uncomfortable, and not available to many aircraft due to external stores, weapons, fuel tanks that do not allow application of negative G. In the Saga of Mr. Us, elsewhere in this channel, I was piloting an F4N with no external stores, thus opening the maneuvering envelope to negative 2 Gs. Mr. Us learned quickly that he did not like this edge of the envelope. One of the most impressive and subtle demonstrations of past Blue Angels shows I have seen was the opposing solo's inverted pass with a significant negative G push to an upward arc after crossing midfield. Only knowledgeable aviators could suffer vicarious strain in watching this maneuver. To my knowledge, this maneuver was short-lived, probably because it was a lot of effort recognized by only a small percentage of spectators. Transverse or lateral Gs is eyeballs back, forward, or to the side. In a carrier-based aircraft, transverse G is experienced on the catapult shot and the arrested landing. On the cat shot at night, the G-force of accelerating from 0 to 170 miles per hour can cause momentary tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is, as it sounds, an encroaching darkness from the periphery of one's sight line. I cannot remember if this occurs during daylight cat shots. Comments, anyone? During an arrested landing, eyeballs forward, there is significant transverse G from rapid deceleration, but if you have locked your shoulder harness, as called for in the landing checklist, you will not eat any part of your instrument panel. Transverse G is what killed NASCAR driver Dale Earnhardt in 2001. An automobile striking a wall as his did creates an enormous shock of instantaneous G, resulting in a basilar skull fracture as described in Wikipedia. Earnhardt's impact was estimated to have generated 80 milliseconds of 48 to 60 transverse Gs, eyeballs forward, which ruptured his carotid artery and caused blunt trauma to his skull. Now drivers wear a Hans device pictured here. It was shocking to me to read how long NASCAR and associated parties dance around the many deaths associated with deaths from basilar skull fracture before requiring the Hans device. On a lighter note, while in VF 103, I had occasion to take a French Air Force pilot on a daytime launch cycle from the ship. Having attended boarding school in Cannes, France, I was able to provide a rudimentary brief for the flight in French.
Hi, I'm Wyatt. My master is a wimp. He wants me to do his begging for him. Well, I'm pretty good at that. Please, oh please, comment and give a thumbs up. Finally, subscribe at the Stork, please. Thanks.
On the flight deck, strapped in with engines turning, I realized that I had not briefed him on how to arm and disarm the ejection seat. Too late. Now, I decided that since I had command eject, all was well with the disarmed seat. He would not be able to accidentally eject himself in the middle of asking himself, "Qu'est-ce que c'est ça?" The flight went off as briefed, and afterward in the ready room, Monsieur Porte d'Avion was effusive in exclaiming the immense pressure on his chest during the cat shot. The arrested landing did not seem to leave the same impression. I guess he understood, lâchez-vous la harness. If my French were better, I could have explained the humorous notion that on cat stroke, our eyeballs implode to a concave profile, and at the trap, they pop back out to normal. If I had tried to explain that to him, it is very likely that so much would have been lost in translation that A, he would not get the joke, and B, he might then conclude that he had just risked his life in the back seat with a wacko at the controls. Reminds me of the time in that boarding school in France, I was 12 at the time, I attempted teaching 2 teams of boys how to play Red Rover. At the instant to send one from the other side to bust through our Red Rover line, the entire opposite side charged line abreast. Sacré bleu! So much for the force of gravity and teaching Red Rover to the French.